Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 for this Sunday night. We are 2/3 of the way through the Euros. Teams are dropping like flies now, and we are here to talk about, not the Euros, we might do a little bit about the Euros, but mostly about Liverpool and the squad and Loanees, untouchables, incomings, outgoings, and the fact that it's the 27th of June and things may start picking up as we enter into July. With me, as always, I have Grizz, I have Seany, and I have Keith. And lads, I'm going to start with, because we have seen a bit of movement. Well, we think it's movement in the market. There's been a lot of links from loads of clubs to different players, and they're starting to become a little bit more frequent over the recent days. I think Kane and Grealish being mentioned towards Man City has probably started the touch paper on this. But I want to talk firstly about Loanees, because we have got a number of Loanees out. And we'll go through them and see where we think their future lies. Do they stay at the club? Do they go loan again? Do they get sold? What way we think they might go? And Seany, I'm going to come to you. The Loanees that are there at the moment, the ones that stand out, Grujic was on loan. It looks like he's Porto bound, I think. You look at Harvey Elliott, who was at Blackburn and done really, really well. And then you have a couple more in there. But with regards to the Loanees, Seany, I always think it's nearly bar one or two, which usually, if you go out on loan, you're gone. That kind of way. What do you make of these Loanees?
They're perpetual Loanees, aren't they? Really, when you look at Wilson, you look at Grujic now. Like, they've never been given a chance. I think the only one there who was in a different sort of stage of their Liverpool career is would be Harvey Elliott. And I think he'll be assessed in pre-season, and maybe he will be loaned out. Maybe a Premier League loan this time around, I think. Because I think you have to remember he's still only 17, 18. And I know Bellingham is in the England squad and he's younger than Elliott, but that's an exception to the rule. Like, Bellingham is out of this world. You have to sell all the rest, Gav, who are out on loan, because not one of them are worth keeping. And there's no point loaning them again, because value is just dwindling. I think we should just take whatever we get for these lads. Now, we're in reason, you know what I mean? Don't just give them away, but I don't think we're in a position, to be honest with you, to be turning away bids for these players. Like, I read the other day we turned away a bid from Benfica for Harry Wilson. So I don't know. I can't see Grujic. Who else was out?
Wilson, Karius,
Ojo. No. Look, if I'm being realistic, look at every competition we'll play in next year. Are any of those players going to contribute in any sort of way? Maybe Elliott. I don't think so. So I'd be definitely moving them all on. No questions. And it's difficult to do. Like, I think sometimes as football fans, we underestimate how difficult it is to actually shift players out, especially when they're not playing. Like, just because they're at Liverpool doesn't mean, and with COVID still lingering for a lot of clubs, you've got to be smart in what you turn away, because every year we don't sell these lads, they're a year closer to being out of contract. So the only one you probably look at and assess in the pre-season and say, right, are we going to keep this fella around and give him games, would be Harvey Elliott. The rest I'd sell.
Well, good shout there by who was it, about Van den Berg as well. Van den Berg looks, Conor O'Sullivan said he's worth holding on to, and he has gone to Preston again. But I think he's one that, while we may have been critical as a fan base of him previously, I think he's one that they still hold a bit of hope for at the moment. Yeah,
Preston love him.
He played really well, and at right back as well, which is
I was just going to say he's been playing right back. But look, I'm going to say I've done a bit of homework today.
Lovely.
I mean, I told all of you to do a bit of homework, but Seany said don't attack the day he's out in Spain. We saw him with his feet up. Keith's been busy modelling the LFC merch, and Gav's busy with. We know he's got a new toy, which probably he might not want to
Gav has noticed a massive hangover.
Gav's got a new toy. So I've done a bit of homework, right? Because everyone knows I'm the hard working one. So we've actually got 11 Loanees out, guys. 11. And I'm absolutely with Sean in terms of none of them, bar Elliott, in my opinion, have a future at Liverpool. And you guys know my opinion on Elliot as well. But let's just, for the argument's sake, that he's a wonderful talent and he's done brilliantly at Blackburn. Let's just say he's the one that has hopefully a future at Liverpool. The others, so I'll just quickly go through it. So we've got Harry Wilson and Shea Ojo. Let's not forget Shea Ojo's there on Cardiff and loan as well. Both are goners, right? There's absolutely no
we'd
chance.
We'd be looking to get a wash off of Shea Ojo, I'd say, at that stage.
Absolutely. Then you got Marco Grich. We know we're just literally, basically just it's a matter of a couple of million before he's off as well. That's Marco Grich off your list. There's Taiwo Awoni and Karius at
There's
Union
another
Berlin.
one. Yeah.
So we know if we get like 5 to 7 million between them, they're off as well. Oh, okay. We got Ben Woodburn, the young Ben Woodburn at Blackpool. Absolutely gone off a cliff. Camille Grabara, he's out on loan at some Dutch team. Adam Lewis, still out on loan.
France.
He's just gone, hasn't he? Yeah, where did he went somewhere over there.
We've got Anderson Arreo. Remember that left back we bought?
The Colombian lad that
Colombian. He's at Salamanca. I thought Salamanca's that baddie in Breaking Bad. But all right, it's a football team.
That's Joe Walsh.
So do you know what I mean, guys?
Trying to speak Spanish.
Now, even though we've got numbers at our loan, we haven't got none of them are absolute quality in terms of got future at Liverpool. So I think it's absolutely the summer where clubs are looking for bargains and we're looking to offload. I think it's the perfect storm in terms of get fucking rid of all of them.
Did you mention Minamino?
Minamino as well. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, he's exactly. He was on loan. Yeah, he's back as well. So, and again, I don't think Minamino has a career here. Some may say, "Oh, we need to give him a chance." I'm of the opinion, none of those loanees, in my opinion, have got a career at Liverpool. Future career at Liverpool.
Well, Mister, shall I tell you what drift? I think he changed his name last week. He says if we don't sell Wilson, Grujic, Shaqiri, Ojo, Naby, and Ox, we will lose them on a free in 2022. So we have to sell them now or no more loans. Naby Keita is under contract until 2023, if I remember rightly. I think Ox might be the same. But Shaqiri, Grujic, Wilson, Naby, I think that they're decent shows. We'll talk about Shaqiri later when we talk about possible outcomes. But for me, I agree with most of what you're saying. Like Awanihi, or whatever you call him. Is it Awanihi? It's a very hard name to say.
Yeah, it is
Awanihi.
Right, Awanihi. Is that? Yeah, okay, I'm good with that. So the likes of him, I think he's got his work permit, hasn't he? And he's been away in Germany. And I don't know, maybe they look at him, maybe they bring him back and look at him. He's there's been good reports from him there. But the likes of right, like the way I look at it is, if we took League Cups really seriously and we took FA Cups really seriously, you might hang on to one or two of these and put them into a decent team. In September in the League Cup and January in the FA Cup. But we don't. We'd be quite happy to go out and put under 23s out there, all of them. And even we don't care if they were out on loan. The loanees don't come into our thinking most of the time. I think Grujic will go. I think that's a definite. I think Ben Woodburn will go. I think it's just not happening for him after what a promising start.
He doesn't have a position or a place in this team, Ben Woodburn. What is he?
Well, the way,
do you know
exactly.
What I mean?
That's the way. But that's the way I look at it. When I just look at a player and I go, right, can you get into this team or squad? And I can't see Ben Woodburn getting anywhere near this squad. Okay, so I think it'll either run out his contract or they get some sort of fee from this summer, or they run it out. He could be out of contract probably next summer. Adam Lewis the same. Harry Wilson. We made a massive mistake on Harry Wilson. We should have taken whatever money we could from last year, and now we're looking at probably not getting us. We were talking 15 million last year, and
I think we could push to that this year.
I don't think we could.
What did Benfica offer for him? 12?
Liverpool wanted somewhere in £15 million, but
they will get 15 million.
They'll come back.
There's a few clubs in from.
There is, but I think if Liverpool,
the good thing about him is he puts up numbers. Do you know what I mean? There's not many players that put up numbers, and he does, and that's why I think we'll be all right with him. I think we'll get money.
I'll be amazed if we get 15 guys.
So would I, because I think if we're openly looking to sell him, And we know, is it Sporting Lisbon or Benfica? Who was it?
Benfica.
Yeah, but if they're turning away bids, Gav, then it would suggest that there's more than enough clubs in there for them to get something going.
That's
we
don't know.
Lads,
but the £12 million he offered, we don't know what to make of
it's not £12 million. It's £12 million euros.
Euros. So it's £9 million
up front and 6 in the
so that's where the worry will come. But I'm with you. Like I'm not a big fan of big fire sales. Get rid of everyone. But I'm kind of looking at these players and going, it's not like they're here at the club a year and you're looking. Look, they're settling in and they're looking to progress. There's just loads of these that have been around years and years, and it's just not happening to them. It's just not happening for them, and I can't see them getting in. So, like Grizz mentions 11 loanees, and I genuinely can only see, and I'm with Grizz, I can only see Harvey Elliott making any sort of impact on our squad, never mind a team. I can only see Harvey Elliott making any sort of impact. And even at that, what Seany said about a loan and maybe to a Premier League, I think that might be something that could happen as well. So,
with regards to Minamino, like, do you think I think there's a place for him in the squad if they don't get a good offer for him. What's a good offer for Minamino, do you think? Like, what price do you think is fair for a Minamino at this stage? I think they'd have to be at least doubling the money. So I'm thinking 15 million at least to move him on. Otherwise, he's one that you could say could maybe figure in a squad capacity, not in a starting role. But do you think he's one that could hang around? Or is it okay? Like someone saying, Sean Burke saying 10 million. If that's for Minamino, we paid 7.5 for him. He's a money baller. I wouldn't be looking at 10 million on him at all.
Are we on agreement though? If 15 million comes on the table for Minamino, everyone takes it.
Absolutely. The writing was on the wall for Minamino as soon as he was allowed go.
Yeah,
simple as that.
As that.
The way
it a homegrown real thing? Was it a homegrown thing to get Kabak in the door?
I don't remember it being that the reason now.
Ben Davies would have been more of that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but we had to bring in Kabak. We would have had to get rid of one, and Taki went out on that day. And I'm wondering, was it a case they got an offer?
I don't think we're as tight on that as people expect. I don't know. That doesn't seem to be a real issue. I don't think.
They don't seem to be as concerned about it as I am. And anyway,
the thing is with Minamino, like Klopp gave him a McLaren reference and all, and it's just been one of them things where maybe Liverpool was too big for him. That's what I mean. Like, I don't even think it's a Premier League thing, because the Premier League is not always just about being physical now, because he has got quality, but he doesn't supplement the squad now in any way, I don't think. Like, if he's coming back in and say, that's grand, Taki's around now, he hasn't really done that. I can see plenty of clubs in Germany and they're like looking at him. Yeah. There'll be plenty, because I know Sevilla do want them. They wanted them for a while. That's been talked about, like, so.
And you have to remember as well, he is a merchandise stream. Despite everything else, he's a money maker. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? In a commercial sense. And it's horrible to talk about him like that.
He's actually a good player.
He is a good player.
He is a good footballer. There's no doubt about it. But we need better than good.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it anyway.
We'll come back to Minamino in a little bit, because I wanted, when we get to outgoings, I want to see if we can nail down absolute definite outgoings and see where it sits, because like I said, a lot of stuff on social media is about, are we looking, we signed Kanate. Like, the big thing for me is that we're the only club that have signed the player, I think. A big club. I think we're the only club that have signed the player. At 35 million for Ibrahim Kanate.
And it just goes to show you that everyone's losing their head.
Well, there is a bit of that.
We're the only ones who've done a better business so far. Yeah. So
everyone's tenuously linked with players, which will happen in a lot of cases. But we've actually got one in the door.
Yeah, but there's no need for that, Like, look, I'll say this and I'll say no more on this whole thing. When's today? 31st of August, isn't it? The window. We're getting the full window again now, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it's the 31st of August now. Yeah.
Look, if everyone can look at the squad at the 31st of August and there's glaring issues, then go fucking mad. That's fair enough. Just relax. There's no bleeding. There's no need to be bleeding.
Chris Prosser says Villa have done good business.
That's actually Buendia.
They bought him, but it's just Buendia.
But they're looking at Tammy Abraham now and James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah.
The thing is with them, they know exactly what's going to happen as soon as they get there. Because I believe that Grealish deal is done, to be honest with you. I think that's done. I'd say it was just from the Villa side pouring cold water on it, because they know they're probably negotiating with teams, and when teams know they have a little bit extra in the bag, they're going to be looking for it. Yeah,
we've seen it with the Coutinho.
It's interesting because there was the video we done the other night. I always look at the comments afterwards, and try to reply to as many as I can. But there was a couple of Villa fans in there, and one of them was saying that the rumor around Villa is that the money that they're spending on Buendia is not anything to do with Jack Grealish's departure. They have the third richest owner in the league, apparently.
They have.
So, but apparently this isn't nothing to do with Grealish. And now I think Grealish will move on. But this Villa fan said the rumour going around on Villa socials and whatever, and chats and stuff like that, is that they're actually ready to give Grealish another massive pay increase to keep him at the club. So,
but if he do, he'd be Zaha. He's going to get Wilfred Zaha. He won't.
That's it. Exactly. He's at that stage now, isn't he, Seany, where if he signs a deal now, he'll never move. It's either sign this deal now or he's staying there forever.
Yeah, and I think his deal with Villa runs until 2023 or 2024 already. So they're not under pressure to sell him, but I think they owe it to him, to be honest.
Yeah, and like, you know what, he was linked away last season, and I think he signed an improved deal, and there was a big deal made of that, and and they were very public about how the Jack Grealish is staying at Villa and stuff like that. Now maybe a case of a year later, Jack Grealish wants to move on because there's a chance of going to say City, and City could come in and go, listen, we're coming in now, and if we don't come in, we're not coming in again, it could be one of those little ultimatums to Jack Grealish. But it's an interesting one. But just
they were willing to sell him last year, weren't they? They told United they'd sell him. They gave him 70 million. So he has got a price. And United bought Van de Beek instead. So, I think that deal is done, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just think it's all got to do with, if I was a betting man now, I'd put money on City down Kane and Grealish, because they're clearing the decks as well to make that happen.
They're not linked with anyone else. They're the players that they're realistically being linked with.
And who are they linking out with the club?
The Sterling is Bernardo Silva is mad to get out. Bernardo Silva is mad to get out the last year. He wanted to leave. Mahrez wants to go as well. Aguero was left, which is a good chunk of the wage bill. They actually want to sell Laporte as well.
I don't think things are right with Sterling and up there as well.
No,
definitely not.
There was telltale signs after the first England game. 100%. It was more of a I couldn't get away. Couldn't wait to get away from them to play for England sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, Mr. Shalloy, I'm just going to go that far this time. He says 12 million for Shaq, Grujic, Wilson, Origi, Minamino, Ox, 25 for Naby, 5 for Ojo, Davis, Awani, 2 million for Grabero, Woodburn, Miller, Karius, 10 million for Nico, 130 million in total.
Very realistic there.
Yeah.
Do you know what? There's a lot of names in there, and I do look at it, but
the only one I'd say is unrealistic is Naby for 25 million. Nobody's going to buy him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see Naby Keita and Ox spoke on. That's the only thing I would say on that. That's the only thing I would say.
I'd be surprised if either of them went now at this stage.
I'd imagine that. I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Naby went out on a loan with an obligation job or an option job if he does the job that if he makes so many appearances.
We're in Aquilani territory there, because you remember he went out on loan 3 times.
To Milan. He went to Milan and they bleed and stopped playing him.
Who's going to buy him? There's no.
There's always someone out there.
There's no sample size to go off though, Gav. So imagine you're on the board of a transfer and you're signing off on it. You're scouting this fella and it's like, there's Naby Keita. Yeah, all right. Well, what's he like? Well, he was brilliant at Leipzig 3 years ago. Yeah, but he's had to be in that playing Liverpool. What's the story there with him? Well, he hasn't really got a run of games. He hasn't been able to stay fit. I don't know.
Hasenhüttl seems a bit of a gilly, doesn't he? And he had him at Leipzig. He might be one worth giving him a call.
Yeah, but his wages, he won't go anywhere. Because Keita's on a bit of wedge. I think Keita's on about 120 grand a week. So that's the thing. And Leipzig won't take him back because it's the complete polar opposite of that model. So I don't know.
It's an interesting one, but look,
Naby is an interesting one.
I just looking at it, and Villa are making a few moves, and you know, they've done this, like, it's not a surprise. Villa done it last year. They most definitely done it the year before when they come up into the league and spent 150 odd million. And they are backed by a very rich owner. So, and it could be a case of they're using the Grealish money and they've told Man City, listen, until we get our players in, he's not going nowhere because that's the bargaining chip. But, like, as I said, it's 27th of June. You know, the players we're being linked with, I think the majority of them are in the Euros. So, you know, I think with teams falling out of the Euros now, as the last 16 starts and the quarters get on underway later on in the week, don't they? I think it's going to be it'll be interesting now how many links actually pick up and solid stuff comes out. What are you laughing at?
There's some werewolves in the chat tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay.
Liverpool are a mid-table team.
Yeah, you get all this stuff in.
It's
they're great
isn't
crack.
it?
Yeah, they're great crack. But Grizz, moving on to you, like we've talked about the Loanees, we talked about the player we have signed, and look, we've spoken about it for the last couple of weeks about what we think we need and what we might get, and we tried to predict ourselves who we would sign, and we've done all sorts of shows. But the reason we come up with this one tonight was just to look through the squad and just kind of pin players down and go, you know what, nearly stop talking about them because there's no point. And this is the next one I want to get onto, and it's the untouchables in the squad. And these are players that, you know, we don't go near. There's no point talking about them. You know, even if you see a mad tenuous link, you're like, stop it. You know, the sort of way. So I'll give you the floor to give me your list of what you feel are the untouchables at Liverpool.
You mean in untouchables in terms of we don't even think about selling, you mean, right?
Don't think about selling them, and they're guaranteed to be at Liverpool next season.
Yeah. Look, we still have, despite the uproar on social media, like Seany's pointed out, someone on there saying, so we're a mid-table team. We've still got the spine of a magnificent Liverpool team. Let's not forget that, because we have been magnificent, barring last season's anomaly. Like literally magnificent. If you compare us to you know, this £1 billion assembled squad from City, you know, we're the only ones stopping them from making it a Bayern Munich scenario where they win it every season. So let's not get too carried away with the level of players in our squad. So look, Alisson, in my opinion, would be one of those untouchables. Virgil van Dijk, Trent, Robertson, Fabinho, Mo Salah, Jordan Henderson. They would be my untouchables. Throw me a name if I've missed an obvious one.
Fabinho.
Yeah, I've said Fabinho and Thiago. They'd be my untouchables, that there is no chance of us accepting.
Jota.
Obviously.
Yeah, Jota just come in, so yeah, I guess, yeah.
Queen, Gallagher, Adrian, all signed up.
Yeah. Adrian, yeah.
To be fair, I'd imagine I do, to be honest with you. I wouldn't say if someone come in for Adrian with a few quid, we wouldn't be long about accepting it, and we'd pull some fella off the Bolton Breck Road for third choice if that was the case. I'd say.
Michael Johnson. I don't know if he's a Liverpool. I don't think he's a Liverpool fan. I think he might be a City fan. A summer of Kanate, Kabak, Aarons, Tielemans, Auer, and Rafinha will push you guys for multiple trophies next season, in my opinion. They're lovely names, but like if you add that up. Like Kanate's 35, Kabak would be about 15. That's 50. Aaron's, I'm not too sure.
Tielemans
is probably 60. Hours 25, and Rafinha's probably another 50. So you add it all up there. It's 160, 170 million pounds, and it's a big. You see, people think when you're sending a load of players out, like those fringe players that are on loan and you don't use, that you have to replace all them. I don't think that's what we're looking at. I think we might look at 7 or 8 of them going, but using that money to supplement 4 players coming into the squad. Yeah. You know, the sort of way, and redressing it that way.
I couldn't see it spending on Max Aarons, for example, the money that Norwich would want for him. I can't see us doing that for a replacement right back. I think we'd be looking much cheaper. This talk of Conor Bradley frightens me, to be honest. But I think we're more likely to do a cheaper option than pay what they want.
But why does Conor Bradley frighten you, Keith, to be honest?
Because, and I don't know.
How many games is he going to play, though?
Well, I know, but I don't know him. I don't know him, and that's what frightens me. Because Nico Williams, I thought, was serviceable in there last season, and it was too much for him. It was too much for him. And if people get on their back and he has a bit of a meltdown, I don't know if Conor Bradley has it, and that's not acting against him. I don't know the influence from him.
What happened with the fullbacks in Whiting last year was Klopp didn't want to put them in beside makeshift centre-backs' parents. So that's why we rarely saw Simicast, apart from the injuries. And that's why we rarely saw Nico Williams. So that's what I reckon happened there.
I'd be amazed if the kid gets any game time whatsoever.
Exactly.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those opinion pieces.
I think it's a timing thing. I think he's very highly rated. He's Northern Ireland international now, isn't he?
Yeah,
and
they
were meant to give him a cap.
Push.
Yeah, and I think the timing around the whole Trent. Trent is down injured and he's in rehab now for the injury he got just before the Euros. You have the talk of Nico Williams looking to leave the club. So what did he do? Naturally, they look and go, right, well, what's the next right back around Liverpool? And just as it happens, this young guy is playing really well and he's got a Northern Ireland cap and it makes sense to write about him. But he's 17 years of age. He could be out fucking standing, but I think 17 years of age coming to the Premier League at right back to be a deputy to Trent, it might be a little bit too much at this stage. Don't get me wrong, it could be a case of he could be like a Curtis Jones or a Queeveen Kelleher that's brought into the squad and kept in the squad, told he's always training with the squad, and he'll go off and play under 19s football, under 23s football, whatever it might be, but day to day he's going to train with the main team, like they done with Kelleher and Jones for nearly 2 years before they let them at the first team. Mr. Shalloy, sorry, I'm just going to read these out because they're flying in. Mr. Shalloy says we lose both Ox and Nabby for free. I think you said this before, because we loan Ox next season and no one will buy him and no one will pay more than 15 for Nabby. We're not losing either of them players for free, buddy. I'm telling you now, we're not.
And Mr. Shalloy, instead of buying bleeding super shots, buy bleeding lotto tickets, mate, will you? Because you seem to know an awful lot what's going to happen. You
Liam Kenny says, any idea on rumours as to how much the club has pocketed from the night deal with that 20%? Surely there must be a decent sized war chest for Klopp with the previous
we'll never know with that, I don't think.
I think it's too early to know with Nike. You know, they're only a season in, and not only you won't see that until the next financial year. You know, that's just how it works.
But the projections are that it was very successful. Even in the pandemic year, it was a successful sort of thing. You know, people throw scorn on it. I'm not mentioning any names, Phil Casey, but people will throw scorn on the Nike deal. It's a great deal for Liverpool. It just, the time we're in now, it's, you know, money is a bit tighter. They're not going to be as fast and loose maybe with it, and it might be something we see next year, you know.
Micah Johnson says he's an Arsenal fan, so I'm sorry for calling you a City fan, but he says I'm an Arsenal fan, by the way. Thoughts on your rival signing Kane/Grealish, Sancho/Varane, Haaland/Verratti, and us linked with White, Maddison, and A Silva. Well, nobody has signed any of them. Yeah, you know, and this is
Sancho is done.
Yeah, no, Sancho. Listen, Sancho's in for 12 months.
Grealish is probably done.
You know, Kane, Grealish, Varane, United's Varane, is it? Is it Chelsea looking at Haaland and Verratti? Yeah. And they're linked with White, Maddison, and Silva. Yeah, we're linked with loads as well. Like, all I would say is that clubs are going to look to spend. You know, I think City are even going to be more stung over what happened in the Champions League last season and throw even more at again this season.
Linked with Reece James today, aren't he?
Yeah, it's just one of those where, you know, they're just going to have to keep spending until they get there. It just is. But going back to the untouchables in the squad, so Alisson, Trent, Robbo, Van Dijk, Konate, obviously he's in the door, Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson, Salah, Mane, Jota. Anybody else, Shawnee?
I didn't actually say Mane untouchable, interestingly.
Mane is untouchable.
I had Mane and Firmino out the door when we done our sort of list earlier, and I've come full circle on that. I think I'm keeping them. I don't think there's much movement on the front now.
Go on, Grizz.
No, I just don't think they're untouchable. I think if Mane,
who's gonna give the money for him though?
But that's not the thing. And from my point of view, it's not untouchable. I'm saying obviously there would have to be a buyer, but I just think there's no point in making everyone an untouchable, because we go back to that, to go to the talking point about the age of our squad growing old together, also the 2-year left on their contract business. And these are very, very important things to take into consideration.
Pay them or sell them.
So for that, we have to contemplate some offers, if some offers came in. Just for the very fact, not that suddenly... I'd imagine
I 100% agree with what you said there as well, by the way, lads. Like, in terms of pay them or sell them, I'd imagine the conversation around Mane and who maybe Salah, maybe even Firmino, I'd imagine that the conversation is, well, we expect them to be more productive next year than they were last year, and then there might be more interest in selling them. And if it means we sell them for a little bit cheaper because there's a year less on that deal, at least we got that year of productivity out of them, and then we can move them on and bring in then who we need to. So that's the way I see it. Because we got these players for so cheap in the main that we can actually we can afford to kind of do that in a way.
Yeah, but we're the one club that doesn't work like that. We're that one club that doesn't sort of stockpile and keep players and then...
Yeah, but it's not... You're not stockpiling bleeding Sadio Mane to keep him in your team, Grizz.
No,
he's going to give you 20 or 30 goals.
So, for example, let's say the front three, we're saying are untouchable. I'm not, but let's say you guys are saying the front three are untouchable. We've got Jota on top of that, and then we're looking to bring in a minimum of another attacker. That's 5/6 attackers. That's a bit of stockpiling going on there, and then you're losing value on your front three, two of your front three.
Sorry. If you bring in one attacker, you have 5 attackers.
Yeah, I said minimum of one attacker. We're looking to bring.
Yeah, but he won't do 2.
Well, we don't know. I think we may, if we don't get sort of, who I've suggested we're trying to get. So we may look for 2 attackers. So that's a fair bit of stock, but it's not. It's more the point.
We are stockpiling players who have high stock.
It's not the more the stockpiling. It's we're losing value on the others, and that's the thing that FSG, from history, from the way they've acted, we know they look at that. They don't want their values to be lost, because if we are a sell to buy type formula going on here, we can't sell them when their value is gone. We've seen the mistakes we've made with Origi, Wilson, Shaqiri. Are we going to go into the next phase?
Manchan as well.
Yeah, are we going to go into the next phase? What we keep talking about. Are we going into the next phase looking to do the same thing?
My only issue with it all is, my issue with the stockpiling, for want of a better phrase, is that I think we're behind in a rebuild. I think we're a window, probably maybe a window or 2 behind in the rebuild. I think not spending after winning the Champions League and spending very little then, I think we've put ourselves a year behind. And to catch that up, you'd need to do probably 5 or 6 in a window. If you're not going to do 5 or 6 in a window, you're doing 3 in the summer and maybe 2 or 3 in January. But that never happened. So I think we're a window behind in terms of a rebuild is needed. And I agree with you, Grizz.
No, surely,
if you're holding on to players, you're giving yourself more work to do with less expense. So I do get it, but I don't see the market for the boys at the moment. And
I totally agree with you. We are 100%. We're 100% at least a window behind, and we've discussed that before. We are. But the thing is, sorry, go on.
Sam says we cry about needing squad depth defeats the whole point. If you're wanting our first team players out, Shaq, Origi, etc., is what we need to replace to get the depth we want. I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think you're calling it stockpiling. What I would call it is, if I'm bringing in one attacker, if I'm bringing one big attacker in, right, I'm looking at it as a forward planning thing. That's what I'm looking at it. I'm bringing this person in. So let's say it's Rafinha, just for argument's sake, right? You bring in Rafinha, and you have 5 attackers. You're in a much better position next season. Even though you're a year down the line, you're in a much better position next season to turn around and say, right, I think it's time for Mane to go. Or I think it's time for Firmino to go. Or you know what? This is probably the last chance we get for a massive mega money deal for Mo Salah, who I wouldn't sell, by the way. But I think you're in a much better position if you're down the road and you're saying, okay, let's say Mane, right? Just take Mane as an instance. Mane is linked to PSG for 60, 70 million pounds, wherever it might be. And then you have to remember, in a year's time, we're over COVID, where we'd be back to normal and everyone would be piling money in again, right? I think you're in a much better position if you can turn around and say, well, look, we're letting him go for that. We think we can replace him with X amount of player, but it's not a massive risk because we still have Salah, Firmino, Jota and Rafinha. Rather than, changing something now and you're still going, Origi and Shaqiri are lining up here as your backup. The depth is a huge thing, not only for now, but I think it's a huge thing for when you're looking to change the squad in the future. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I know exactly what you're trying to say.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say.
I'm trying to put it and put it in a realistic sort of way that there's no way we're going to go out and say, listen, Mane and Salah are for sale and we get 200 million for both of them. We're going to take 3 players in. It doesn't work like that because you don't know what way the 3 players are going to go and you're losing 2 brilliant players. You know the sort of way. So for me, what I think Liverpool will look to do is they will bring in an attacker. There's no doubt about that. But I think they bring in an attacker. And I said this with Jamie the other night. It's important on a couple of levels. The quality you're bringing in to have more of an impact than, say, an Origi would have. Okay? And the forward planning for the seasons in the future. When you know something's going to happen with Mane, Salah and Firmino simply because of their age and their contract situation. So I think the one attacker that comes in, he'd have to be good on 2 levels. I think he's going to have to be good enough to push these players, but he's going to have to be good enough to take over for them in possibly a year's time. That's why I will put Mane, Salah, Firmino, Jota, them 4 as untouchable this summer because I can't see them making more than... It's not even a change, it's a bolstering of the attacking options rather than a change.
At this stage, I'd give Divock away. I'd loan him, I'd do something. Klopp is too loyal to players. I'm never critical of Klopp, to be honest, but he's too loyal to some players. We should have sold Divock the year we won the Champions League. We struck lightning in a bottle on him then in that second half of the season. His value was never going to be as high, and we kept him on, and he didn't push on from there. Some will say he didn't get the opportunities to push on. I feel he did, and he didn't take them. And we're guilty of doing this with some certain players. Now, if Shaqiri is different in the sense that I think Shaqiri performs well, but is never fit. Do you know what I mean? Where he's more frustrating to me than Origi, because when Origi plays, I sort of know what I'm going to get from him. When Shaq plays, he can play well, and you think, oh, he's turning the corner, he's fit again. Then he's gone. So I think we need to make our backups better than what we have. And if that means Bobby as a backup, well, then so be it,
Jota will be as good as Salah and Mane.
He's on that level.
And he's already good enough to start ahead of Bobby every week, in my opinion.
But guys, can I reverse some points that you guys have made back on?
Before you do, though, 1975 Jamrock says having a bigger squad is nonsensical if Klopp isn't going to use them. Klopp has said on a few occasions he likes a smaller, closer
squad. That's a very
squad.
fair point as well.
That's a fair squad.
And no word of a lie, I was coming to that. But because look, and it's true, he makes a very good point, Jamrock, and it's true because first and foremost, we've spoken about a change of policy from FSG, right? We've discussed that to death. What we haven't discussed is the change of policy from our coach, because whether we like it or hate it, his policy is to work with a smaller squad, and it has been since he's here. So we not only are looking for a change of policy or tweak to not a drastic change before everyone goes back, but a tweak to our policy strategy, and also from our coach, because it's absolutely obvious that to compete with the likes of going forward, competing with the likes of City and Chelsea, you're going to need a squad depth that is more reliant on quality than numbers. And this is the crucial part. Do we agree that Jurgen Klopp has to take that on board? And then what Keith touched upon is loyalty has to be not questioned, but he has to be more firm. What's the word? Firm or ruthless?
Ruthless.
Yeah, we've often used the word ruthless. He's got to be ruthless this summer, guys. I think he's been ruthless with Gini.
No, I don't think he has.
I think he has, Seany. I think he's given them in the public. I think he's given all the Gini's been a servant.
Get that,
but he hasn't pressed. If Klopp wanted Gini to stay at all costs, Gini would be there, and that's why I think he's been the first signs of ruthless.
Because I was thinking with the way Gini went and all the lovely words that were said about him and all, and then Gini coming out saying this, that, and the other. And then Gini was sort of saying, "I know it's not the manager's fault." Was he ruthless in a nice way? Like, was Klopp turning around to Gini going down, oh look, I really wanted to stay,
Not
and then
me.
going up having meetings with the lads saying,
I think it was class, Keith. Exactly that, Keith.
Yeah. So maybe like two-faced in a way. So that's a different way to be ruthless, I suppose. Look, this is pure speculation. You know what I mean? We don't know about it at the moment. Like,
I don't know better than Jurgen Klopp. I'll just say that now.
Yeah, and none of us do.
Wants to be loyal to his players, and that's the buy-in you get from working with him. And he needs that buy-in. Well, that's fine with me.
But the only thing I would say,
I was pissing and moaning last year when we didn't do the Werner deal, and then when we were signing Jota, we were all going, well, why didn't we have the extra 5 million? Well, we didn't need the extra 5 million because how well structured the Jota deal was, and then in the end, how well scouted Jota was and how perfect he was for us ended up being a completely better deal. And that's happened umpteenth amount of times with this recruitment. So there's no point in worrying about this shit because it just seems to always work out for them. And I don't think it's a coincidence at this stage.
Can I just throw a comment up? As Chad Ford, that's what I was going to throw.
He said
up.
Genie accepted less money to go to Barcelona, so it was never about money.
No, he didn't.
And I don't think. And do you know what? There might be a thing in it about the money. I think it was the length of term of deal. I think that might have been happening. I think he wanted 3 years, and I don't think Liverpool were willing to give it to him. I don't know what his deal is at Paris Saint-Germain. It could be 3. Is it 3 years?
I think it's
3 year
4.
deal.
Is it 3?
3 could be an option of one more and stuff like that. But then the signing on fee and all on top of that. So
the wages he's getting at PSG is astronomical. Can't blame him for taking that wage at this stage of his career. You know, he's going to a big team. He's not going to China to play. He's getting
200 grand a week.
But the only thing I would say about is this big squad, small squad stuff. Like, we use a fair amount of players. Like, if you look over the season, we use a fair amount of players. Now, I know last season was an outlier because of injuries and stuff. You know, you've seen Reece Williams come in. You've seen even Nat Phillips coming in. Like, Nat Phillips wasn't expected to play, you know, but he does. He ends up playing 12 league games.
We were in bits last year and look at the players that weren't used.
I know. I understand that. But this is the point I'm getting to. We can talk about big squads or small. All I'm looking for, I'm looking, what I'm trying to pin down in this argument or this discussion that we're having tonight, and it's the reason we're talking about it, because Grizz is right. We've spoken about who comes in, who goes out, what about this, what about that, money, FSG. We've spoken about it all the time, and to be honest with you, we're speaking about it all the time because there's always some other angle and some other snippet of information, and it adds to a discussion, and we come on and do that, and people ask us to do that, so we do that as well. But all I'm saying is, if I look at, I'll put it to you this way. We're talking about untouchables because I wanted to see what names were left out, right? And the names that are left out are, and let's get to them, right? It's the two obvious ones. The two obvious ones are Shaqiri and Origi, right? They're the two obvious ones. And then you kind of you're on the fence a little bit when it comes to Ox and Keita, right? And then Nico Williams, what happens there? And we've discussed it a couple of times now. You know, what do we do if Nico Williams leaves the club with regards to cover? Do we look internally with a Milner, or people have suggested Gomez and even Ox? But all I'm saying is, what I want to see is if Origi and Shaqiri leave, right? I want Liverpool to sign 2 players that are better than them, have more impact, and I don't care how big it makes the squad look or how close-knit it doesn't make it look, because with all those injuries last season, we were crying out for an Origi or a Shaqiri or an Ox or a Keita to come along and be, I'm not talking about carrying the team on your back, but I'm talking about being the spark, being that bit of light and being that bit of hope in what was a dreadful 3.5 months, whatever it was. That's all I'm saying. It won't make any difference to your squad size or any difference to the amount of players you would use, but it will absolutely add quality. And like Grizz said, the strength and depth is going to be a huge thing, because we know Chelsea are going to go looking for it. We know City are going to go looking for it. We know United think they have a sniff, so they're going to go and sign 2 or 3. Do you know the sort of way? We don't know what's going to happen with Spurs.
Again.
What?
Everton. Don't forget
Rafa's Ultras. But you know what I'm saying to you, Seany? Like, I'm not asking for us to bloat a squad. I'm not asking for us to reduce it right down and sell all these fringe players and a couple from the first team and do nothing about it. All I'm saying to you is, if you turned around to me and said, we've brought in Konate, I'm good, right? Don't do anything else at the back if you don't want to. I'm happy. What I'm saying to you is, if you're selling Origi and Shaqiri, despite their lack of games last season, it was something we needed. And I want 2 brought in there. And if you sell one in midfield and you've let Genie go, I want 2 in midfield. So I want 2 midfield, I want 2 up front, I want 1 at the back, which we've done. And the squad size is no different, but the quality and the reliability and the impact is there. Do you get what I'm saying to you?
100%. And look, I get what you're saying, and this is why we go back to when you're looking at the Loanees. Like, I wouldn't, if you told me Harvey Elliott was going to take the minutes that were offered to Shaqiri next year, I'd say all right. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. And I think he will get a chance to prove that maybe in the preseason. In terms of Origi, he's no use to us at all. So he has to go. He's absolutely no use to us. And the worst thing if a footballer is good and has no ability, if a footballer is shit and has no ability, I can live with that because he's just a poor footballer. But the thing that drives me absolutely insane with Origi is he comes on and looks disinterested in games.
Yeah.
And that's worse than anything for me. So he needs to go. And Origi's quite young and he has a lot of talent, I think. I think he'd be far better served going and getting a move because I think his career might need a bit of an injection. There's Belgium gone into a quarterfinals of a European competition tonight, and he was always in and around that team. Even when he wasn't getting games for Liverpool, he was always in and there. But he dropped out this time because he just didn't contribute.
He needs to play regular games to get the goals that his ability can get him if he's focused and if he's willing to put the graft in, which he isn't at us.
So I would think Origi should be gone. Ox will be kept. I think Ox was actually fit for an awful lot of last season. Yeah. People don't seem to realise that. He was in a load of squads. He just didn't play.
Yeah.
Now, Ox for me is the type of player who has to be playing. He's a much more than any other footballer. He depends on rhythm. Like Ox is one of them players where you get him in 2-3 week bursts, and he's probably our best player. Like in the Champions League campaign last year, the year before last. He had a little run in the side where he was actually excellent. The year we win the league, he's very much a rhythm player, but he's very much a utility player. So that's why I think he could be kept around because he can do multiple things. He can play on the wing. He can play through the middle. We've seen him do that. Yeah. He gives you a little bit something different from midfield, and he's English. So he will be kept for that reason. Keita, I don't know what to say. Like, he's absolutely no use to us, Gav.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's a bad footballer. He could be the best footballer in the Premier League, but he's only available for 5 games, 6 games, 7. He's not worth a shite to anyone. And
I can't see them selling him. I think if he had 2 years left in the deal, I think they could have. I think they're going to persevere with him, and I think they'll make a decision in January with regards to if he goes or not. I genuinely believe that.
He's an excellent player, but
he has all. Like, are we just kind of wait for? Like, it's kind of a storage thing again, isn't it? Like, are we just kind of hope he gets better? Like, can you remember in your life an injury prone player who became less injury prone as the career went on?
Yeah. No, very few of them.
No,
there's none. I can't remember thinking, geez, remember he always used to get injured and now he's fit all the time. Never happens. Yeah. Never. It's just, look at Hazard tonight. He's broke. He's finished. He didn't try and correct for his whole years at Chelsea. He got away with it because he was so good, and it's catching up with him now. His body cannot play football the way he can't take any contact. He can't run. He's fucked. RVP is a great show. Robin Van Persie is a great show, to be fair. But he did only go to 1 season at United, and after that, then he was in and out of the team.
Exactly. So, he wasn't exactly revitalised. He went and got his medal, and then he sort of petered out. And he had a good career after that. He went on for a good few years, but there's not many of them. There's not many examples.
Jay Carl says Giggs was never injury prone. Like, Giggs was the model pro before he went down.
Giggs had injury issues. Giggs had injury issues when he was younger, and then, but I'm not to the extent where he was always out.
Here's a good shout. In fairness, Gundogan, like, he had a season last year where he was available all the time, and he did struggle a lot with injuries. Look, for me, you're asking me, the ship is sailed with Keita. Like,
I think they'll persist. I think that don't get me wrong. I think if there was a midfielder to move out of him and Ox, I think Ox stays because of the homegrown stuff and nothing more than that. Because I'm with you on it. I think he was fit for a lot of games last season, and he didn't seem to be trusted. And I think that was something that had to be noted.
I love him as well, but like there should be questions over Jordan Henderson as well, because he does miss a lot of football.
Yeah, he has missed football. Yeah. Absolutely, he has missed football.
We're kind of having we're in a situation with our midfield this year, the similar situation that we ended up in with our centre backs.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to lose Genie who give you 50 games across all comps? I'm with you, Gav. I think we need two. I think if we sell one, we need two. You said if we sell Locks and Katie, we'd need two. I think we need two now.
Well, yeah. Well, I think because Genie's gone, I've said it before. You've issues over Henderson. You've issues over Thiago. Fabinho comes up with issues every now and then. Curtis Jones is still young and still learning. Milner is 35 years of age. You can't go on forever. So there is issues there. What I'm saying is that I would bring somebody in to replace Genie in the squad, not a Genie replacement like people think you need a clone of. To replace him in the squad, and then I would, if you're going to let one of Kate or Ox go, I would sign another one. That's how it is. Jamrock says, Gav, that there's a difference in using the squad for rotational purposes versus using the squad because you were forced due to injuries. 66 games max a season. I know what you're saying, Jamrock, but what I'm saying to you is there was injuries last season, and because of that we had to use the squad. Okay, and through a lack of trust on some players' cases, in some players' cases, I believe they weren't used. But in saying that, they were there, and when they were used, they weren't good enough. That's all I'm saying is, whether you have to rotate because a player has an injury, or you have to rotate because you want to keep them fresh because of a run-in or a Champions League run, wherever it might be, you need more quality than what was there, and you need more reliability than what was there. One more, Liam Kenny. Could there be any weight behind the Kingsley Coman rumours? Will be excited signing to take from a European rival, just not quite that Mbappe excitement. Grizz and Kingsley Coman. I don't know on this. I don't know on this, I'm being honest. But what do you reckon?
I think it's legit. I think there's something behind this. But look, and we was talking off air. At his best, I think me and Keith was talking. I don't think he was there, but at his best, he's an absolute wonderful player to watch. Like in terms of he does all the beautiful things to the eye. The way he runs with the ball, the close control, hugs the touchline, the way he cuts in. He's a beautiful player in full flow. He really is. Has he got the numbers, the actual real numbers that we look for in a wide forward a la Jota, Mane and Salah? No, I don't think so. So from that point of view, I think it's a strange link. But in terms of a player, and in terms of the price that they would be looking for, apparently, which is around the 45 million pound mark, it absolutely fits all the other criteria. His fitness issues have been raised. Again,
that's the only red flag for me.
It's a bit of a red flag. And again, it's a bit of a red flag because he misses a lot of injuries with niggly injuries. You can't tie it down.
Not an ACL that's just done him, and he's
you can't hone in on one or two injuries like the Konate one we discussed about his hip issue. This fella gets a lot of strains and muscle strains, and that's a major red flag for anything to do with the Liverpool. But from what I believe, the link is legit.
Okay, Mr. Charles.
Shawnee said it before we go. Shawnee said it when we were linked with Thiago. That old saying: "If Bayern are selling, don't buy." Thiago was different because he was running out.
Well, they're mad to get him a contract as well, Keith.
They want to keep him on duty.
They're trying to give him a contract, yeah. That's it. Like, I don't know. To be honest, he's a wonderful footballer, don't get me wrong. I just don't know what the story is with his injuries. Same way I don't with Konate. That's why I didn't lose me shit when we signed Konate and everyone was retweeting his injuries. I just know he has quite. But again, Coleman is young. He's 23. He's a mental talent. He's a mad talent.
He's on the Dembele sort of spectrum, isn't he? The Ousmane Dembele.
Yeah, I don't think he's as injury prone.
No, not as him.
He's a magic footballer. Like, if you to tell me we could do better, I'd say, for that price. And when I mean do better, I mean we could do probably someone who's more aligned of exactly what we need. I don't know if we need a winger who's getting to the byline, and whipping in crosses, because that's what he does. He like Grizz says, he's a player who hugs the touchline and invites contact and will beat a player, but he's different from the rest of them. Norman in the chat there, like Jeremy Doku, I'd imagine for the same money you'd get him, and I really, really like the look of him. I think he looks like a real player, like one who could explode, and he's very explosive, who could literally go on levels under the tutelage of Klopp.
Yeah, I
don't know how moldable Coleman is. I don't know. I think not that he's limited or anything. That I don't think he's moldable the same way maybe a Daniel Malam would be, or maybe even Rafinha. So I'd be looking away from him. And he's on.
Slight questions about his mentality as well. I saw a few articles where he's spoken about sort of things like, if I get another injury to the same ankle, I'm giving up, retiring. These were articles. These were sort of accusations levied at him, like, has he got the bottle or whatever word you want to use. But and also a couple of things discipline-wise. But this was 4 years ago, people. 4 years ago, that would probably, when he was 18, 19, he had a couple of issues personally, domestically, etc. But if Liverpool, and we know Liverpool scrutinize any targets they go for, like really scrutinize, and if they've seen the all clear on those kind of things, then I wouldn't worry about that too much. But the injuries are a red flag.
Considering Kanate is done as well, if Kanate and Coleman are big signings and they've both got huge injury flags, it's
a couple of people are correcting. They're saying Kingsley Coleman is 25 years of age. Genie, 4,650 minutes in 51 games last season. Oxen Naby, 3,922 games. That's 8 games and 8 minutes more than both of them combined for the both last season. Shocking. Mr. Shalloy, Jesus, you're in terrible humor tonight. You really, really are. Let me see. Jamrock says we ever going to get a forward who only needs 1 in 3 chances.
And that's a good shout, because that's someone different, isn't it? Like that. I wouldn't be kind of throwing that around, because Salah his ratio is mental, But I do get that. Like maybe
we miss a lot of chances.
A classic number 9 maybe would be something different to put balls on there. Look at bleeding. What happened when you had someone who can win a header in the box? Look at Alisson. Imagine me the striker getting on the end of them crosses every week.
Well, you'd have to. You see, that's why when you see the likes of Kingsley Coleman, like we've seen Vlahovic mentioned, he's a 9. He's just a number 9, and he loves good footballer, but loves being in the box, and chances. When you see the likes of Kingsley Coleman,
that's why I can't get my head around it, because it's not what we need.
It doesn't address our problems.
No, but this is what I'm saying. When you see the likes of Kingsley Coleman linked, or Rafinha linked, they nearly make more. Personally, if you told me you're getting me a number 9 that just wants to be in the box and score goals, I'm all over it, because I don't think we have one. And I know people would say it doesn't suit our style of play. A lot of our play last season was balls into the box, where if you had a 9 that was just there to head and be in position, they would have cleaned up, right? And it's not hard to make chances for them when you have the fullbacks we have, right? But what I'm saying is, when you see the likes of Rafinha, even Kingsley Coleman being mentioned there, it comes back to something I said earlier. Is it a bit of forward planning where you go, well, you have Mane, you have Salah, let's bring someone in that can be a backup on either side, but it's a forward planning thing where you look down a year, 18 months down the line, because I believe Jota is going to push Firmino for a spot on the side rather than take Mane out or take Salah out. That's where I think he's going to end up. Jota, simply because he's running in behind, he's quite intelligent, but he can get in behind, and you've seen the amount of different goals he scored. So it's an interesting one to see what way they go with it, and it's the signing of an attacker, and what they look for in that person, and is it not a project? Because if they're 24, 25, they've 5, 6, 7 good years left them, but they will go beyond, and will be in a position to go beyond when Mane, Salah, Firmino are at this club and take Liverpool on. So it's an interesting one. Sorry, Grizz.
No, I was just going to say that's why I've got this hunch that it could be 2 attackers, and for that very reason that you said. So we see a certain type of link, and we see a similarity in the types of play we're talking about: the Rafinhas, the Colemans, and Marlin's. Marlin's not actually like them two, but them two. And then you've got the links of to target men like Vlahovic,
Isak,
your other man at the Dutch one. No, the Dutch one, Weghorst.
Weghorst.
Yeah,
are we linked to him?
Yeah, so then you think to yourself,
he's in Amsterdam, Chris Wood, for fuck's sake.
Exactly.
You know what? He's one of the highest. I'm not a stats man, but he's one of the highest pressing stats in Europe.
But you get but you see the 2 types of attackers that are seemingly linked, and out of those, I know we've got a definite interest in 2 of them, one of each type. So that's what gives me the idea or the thought, Gavin, the hunch that we may be targeting one of each type to absolutely give variety to our attack, to absolutely evolve us into a different type of team. Because yeah, you're right. The likes of Rafinha and Coleman always play with an out and out target man, a la Lewandowski or a Bamford, which is what we don't have. So this was my thinking.
Good show, yeah. Yeah.
Well, look,
excellent analysis, Russ.
Thanks for that.
He's right though. I never even thought of it that way. Like,
yeah, well, it is interesting. Yeah, because like you said, you have players that play with target men and they excel at that. You know, and then there's other players that don't play with target men, play a lot differently. But I think you were talking about Coleman being moulded there. I could see Kingsley Coleman being like a Mane. You know, I think you could work on him and you could say to him, listen, you don't really have to boil on all the time, but you could use your pace to make those diagonal runs that Mane loves making. You know, you people are terrified of your pace, so that opens up Robertson. You know, the sort of way. I know what you're saying. He might be moulded the way you turn him into, you know, a tricky number 10 with loads of vision. I don't think that'll work, but I think his attributes in air side could open things up for others as well. So it is an interesting one. Look, as I said, it's the 27th of June. There's loads of names flying around. Yeah. You know, people just get worried when they see City and they see Grealish and they see Kane.
There's a lot of flavour and month names getting people horny and all. Like, you know, people don't want Malin because of today. And everyone wants Renato Sanchez because of today. Other people don't want, they're saying this player is done, X player is done because they've just been knocked out of a tournament. Like, we're very in the moment. Like, the clubs don't deal in microcosm though. Yeah. So if they're going to sign Renato Sanchez in this window, it won't be because of what he's at the doing in the Euros. It will be because they've probably been extensively scouting for the last 18 months to a year. So
and the Euros confirmed something for them, maybe.
Maybe so, Gav, yeah. But like that's the way. They don't just look. Like, when's the last player? That doesn't happen anymore because football is everywhere. Like, when's the last time? Like Locatelli. Now, I knew very little about him. I only heard how good he was. I read a lot about how good he was, but I'll hold my hands up. I never seen the fella play before the Euros, and he's at the line the place up, and he's a brilliant footballer. But loads knew about him. It's not the way it used to be. Like, remember Arshavin at the Euros that time?
Yeah.
For Russia. Everyone was like, who's this fella? Yeah. And he comes in and lights the place up. Yeah. And every team in Europe wants him. That doesn't happen anymore because it's the research, it's also extensive. Like, you have fellas on Twitter who are able to tell you a fella in the Austrian second division made so many presses and so many passes into the final third. Like, that's how deep it goes. Yeah. So if that's what fellas on Twitter are able to access, imagine what the access the clubs have to. They're not looking at players at this tournament. Now, there might be some who catch their eye and they'll keep an eye on, like that little young fella of Denmark, Damsgaard.
Cracking player.
He looks bleeding deadly. But he could sign for Liverpool and be absolutely tortured. So that's the thing with these tournaments. People, like, everyone is going mad for Sanchez. I said it in November in the group to the boys. I think we should get him. I really liked it. I think he's been brilliant for Lille. seeing him in Europa League games, and I was thinking to myself, if Gini's gone, that's your replacement there, because he's 22, I think, and all the experience he's had, and he's fucking deadly. So we should definitely be in for someone like him. But we don't make no bounds about it. He won't be signed off the back of 45 minutes against Portugal and another 45 minutes against France the other night.
Hitting the post.
Like, yeah, exactly. So don't be diving in on all it. Like, it's mad. The way it just pops up in the air. Look at that Mongo Bruno tonight.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Would United, if
the
he
first
was
match I watched
this summer, United fans wouldn't be looking for them to spend 70, 80 million on him.
Yeah, I watched my first game. My first game of the Euros was last night, Italy and Austria. It was a great game. But other than that, I haven't seen much. But I do know that anyone that's watched Portugal has said that Bruno Fernandes is being horrific. Lads, before we go, I just want to go around the table because, we have these chats every couple of weeks, and we'll definitely do it at the end of July as we approach the start of the season, and then the obviously the window closing a couple of weeks into the season. But Grizz, I'll come to you first. What do you think? I think we're fairly agreed on the Loanees and what we'll do with them. I think we're fairly agreed on who won't live and who won't even be considered. And then we have a couple of names that are in there that may or may not live. If you want to give me who you feel, and you don't have to name all the Loanees, but if you, within what you would call the first team squad, if you were to tell me, I want you to tell me who you feel will live and who you think we'll bring in. As things stand right now, I'm going to get all the lads to do it, and they can change their mind in a month's time.
Yeah, look.
We're only having a bit of crack.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I genuinely think that we get rid of all those Loanees if we can. And obviously, if we can't, then they go out on loan again. And so therefore, we don't have the wages thing hanging around. Obviously, we've seen this week that Phillips and Williams, it's been in the press, and reliable journalists saying that if Liverpool get an offer, they're out, and that usually is a bad sign for those fellas when it gets to that stage. I genuinely think we do a centre back if we let Phillips go, but I don't think we bring in a fullback if we let Williams go. The young lad Williams go. I genuinely think, and this is not what I would do. I think this is what I think the club would do. I think the club will try to. Unfortunately, a risk it may be. I think they may try to get like a freebie, a right back, or a cheap one. Definitely not going to look to spend the 10 million they're looking to get for Williams. And everywhere else we know we try to get as much as we can for the likes of Grujic, Wilson, Shaq, Origi, without absolute doubt. And the big question of the summer probably is whether we do Ox or Keita. I don't think we'll do Ox for the reasons that I've said in terms of, I think Seany touched upon his versatility, and I think that position that you hate him in and absolutely having fits last couple of weeks, I think you may have to switch off the TV a couple of games next season where he's playing right back in certain games, because I think he may be used there. And I think Keita, it's all about the offer. I genuinely believe that, lads. I think it's all about the offer. If we get anything north of 25, I can't see us saying no to that. I genuinely can't. And that's it. And then obviously it's a case of bringing in quality. So I've named about probably, including the Loanees, I've named probably about 10 outgoings, right? But you've got to remember a lot of them are Loanees, so we're not going to feel them. But out of the first team squad, so to speak, from last season, that makes it Phillips, Williams, and Grujic. No, not even Grujic. Shaq and Divock from the first team squad of last season. So that's 4 out, and I'd expect 3 in. Now, whether that's 1 centre back, 1 midfielder, or 2 attackers and no midfielder. That's the way I think we expected. I'm expecting the club to go. Okay,
Seany, out of the first team squad, who do you feel leaves, and who would you like to see come in, or who do you think will come in? What the club will do?
I think Phillips goes. I think Williams goes definitely. I I don't see a boy off like Keita. I think Shaq goes. I think Shaq's very close to going actually.
Lazio rumoured, yeah.
Yeah. I hope Origi goes. I think Minamino will go. So I think that's 6. Grujic, I don't count him, to be honest. Never in the team, so I don't count him. So out of sight, out of mind to me. Now, the money will obviously be there with him. You're saying from Air Force team squad. He's never been in Air Force team squad. So I don't count him. So players who we've actually seen playing games for us in the last couple of years. Williams, Nico, same person. Not Phillips. Phillips, Nico, Origi, Shaq, Taki, and I think that's it. I think they're ones that we'll feel because they've played games for us. Mm-hmm. They've been available. They've been around. Grujic hasn't been around. Either has Ojo or Wilson. They don't matter. Obviously, the money that coming in. Who do I think we'll bring in? This isn't good for the podcast, but I genuinely don't have a clue. This is why I love the transfer window for a different reason than for everyone else. Because when we signed Thiago last year, Jota was linked and done a couple of days later. Yeah. Like Fabinho linked and done a couple of days later. We seem to be keeping people occupied with looking. Who was the one we were looking at before Simicast? Jamal Lewis, wasn't it? Yeah, was, and then we just whipped him up. So I'd say we have our irons in many fires, and we're just waiting to pull them out at the right time, depending on it. And I'd say they'd be just ticked off a list. Like, can't get him, go for him. Can't get him, go for him. We're famous for that. And then, Gav, we're even famed for not doing anything when we need something. Look at January. They didn't buy a centre-back because they couldn't get Konate. And they literally said, no, we'll wait 6 months. They did the same with Virgil. So it's so hard to predict who Liverpool will do.
Who would you like them to do?
Yeah. Who would I like them to do?
Yeah, in midfield, mention Neuhaus.
In midfield, I'd like Renato Sanchez, and it's not a flavour of the month thing. You've gone on. You lads know that I have, and I'm not being like I know more about football. He's one I did see playing for Lille in the Europa League and in the League One the odd week, and I thought he's actually really fucking good. I always thought at Benfica he looked like his ceiling was mental. Yeah. He went to Bayern and it didn't happen for him, but he was a kid. Yeah, I'd love to see us getting Renato Sanchez. He's the type of player who I'd really like. In terms of forwards, I don't know. I think Malin has looked very. I think Malin can be a brilliant player. He's versatile as well. But again, he's similar to what we have. And it just goes to show, I'm a fucking idiot. Grizz told us last week in a WhatsApp that I'm not throwing him under the bus here because he said this out. Grizz said to us last week in a WhatsApp, hey lads, we're in for your man, Vlahovic. My reflex reaction was, no, he's a fucking stock and I wouldn't go near him. And then I put him on YouTube and I was horny for him after 8 minutes when the ball was sticking to him and he was like shite off a shovel. How mobile he was flying around. He's a bit of a demon. I was looking at him going, jeez, I like the look of him. He's a bit of Lewandowski about him. Yeah. So if we brought someone in like him, I'd be very excited to see what he could do.
Isak's a similar profile, isn't he? 6'2", 6'3", quick.
I got to watch him, and he was very impressive. But he's playing for the Spanish club, and he has an 80 million release clause, and they don't mess about with them in Spain. You either pay or you don't. That's the way they are.
Keith, who do you see leaving? Who do you see coming in?
Look, I think we all agree on the outgoings. As Seany alluded to them there after Grizz. I don't see anything other than that. Coming in, it's a strange one. Like John McGinn's getting a lot of mention and he's driving people mad. I would be all over John McGinn in the midfield. And one other. If we got John McGinn and Neuhaus, for example, I would be delighted with that into the midfield. I think that would box us off. I think McGinn is like the midfield Robertson or James Milner type of player. I think he's excellent, and people are going mad because of the money. Liam Morrissey just said not for 50 million. We won't pay 50 million for him, I don't think. You know, if we can structure a deal that suits us, we'll do it. But he is the type of player that would be the ideal player for us. He's got an engine. He'll run like fuck. He's a Klopp player. I'd be delighted with him. Grizz, you might have mentioned the rumours of Kabak coming in on the cheap, you know, way less than the 18 million we were quoted, and there could be something to look at there. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but I think Kanate be probably the only one in there. I don't see Matip going out the door. Ben Davis, I don't know what's happening with him. I think he stays. Reece Williams, whether he goes out on loan, I think it's Kanate plus the rest of them minus Phillips, I'd say, at this stage now for the defence. I would look, as I said, I'd look to bring the two lads into midfield. I think Malin's a great shout up front because he is flexible. He can play on the wing and he can play centrally. He's a good option to have. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd done a bigger one than Malin, and went with Harvey Elliott for the English factor. I don't think we're going to, you know, if it was me doing it, I'd buy Lautaro Martinez, but it's not me. So aim lower. Do you know what I mean? Aim for somebody a bit less pricey than a ready-made forward like that. So Malin's a good show. But then we look at, Shawnee mentioned Doku earlier. They're the players that Liverpool will look at, and the reason they'll cost a lot of money to buy, but their wages will be so low that you put them onto a deal that suits Liverpool. It gives them the hunger. People talk about Harry Kane, Jadon Sancho. They're all going in way over their top earners as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't do that. People need to understand this. It's not that Liverpool can't afford Jadon Sancho. We can afford to go and drop 75 million on him tomorrow, not a bother. But we're not going to give him 350 grand a week. That Man United.
Yeah, nobody would have brain does that though.
No, exactly. And when teams are throwing that at players, that's why Liverpool don't go for these guys. So I think it's going to be somebody a lot less. I think it could be Mal, and Dak is on his way to Leicester by the looks of it, so it's not going to be him. Yeah, I think 2 into midfield and 1 into the front, and I think I'd be happy with that if we used our squad then. You know, the outgoings, you get rid of your Divox and you get rid of Shaq and you give Harvey Elliott some minutes maybe. I think you've got players there, but I think 2 into the midfield. I don't know if it was Sean or Grizz touched on it earlier. There's a lot of, you know, we're actually a bit thin in there if you think about the injuries and the mileage on some of them. So that's what I do. 2 into the middle and 1 up front.
Nice one.
What about you?
Loads to think about there. The centre-back stuff, I keep saying it depends on Joel Matip.
I'm telling you now, Ben Davies is going to play games of football.
He might do.
I'm telling you.
He might do, but I genuinely think it depends on Joel Matip. If Joel Matip stays at the club, he will. I think he'll go Kanate, Matip, Gomez, Virgil van Dijk, and I think I would keep Phillips as 5th choice. That's what I would do. Or if you want to sell Phillips and bring in Kabak because you rate him a bit higher, fine. But I think we need to go with 5 simply because of the injury records of the 2 lads.
Do you think we're being shitey jocks though? Because can it happen again?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it can happen again.
But can it? Are we?
I'll tell you what, Shawnee. I'll tell you what, Shawnee. Forget it's Liverpool, right? Forget it's Liverpool. And I said to you, we support Spurs. And Joe Gomez is coming back off 9-10 months out, and we're going to sign him, and we're just going to go in with 4 centre halves, and Joe Gomez is going to be a big centre half signing. You're going to turn around to me immediately and say, "What the fuck? We don't even know what's going to happen with him. We need it's an insurance thing, and I don't think it's a long term thing. I think it's basically." And I think someone said it the other night.
I think a lot is made out of these too much is made out of these long-term injuries these days.
But
the
someone
game
said
has
it the other
changed
night
in terms of recovery and all that. Like,
I understand that, Shawnee, but what I'm saying is the level we're at and the margins that are so small, right? All it takes is Van Dijk to have a recurrence, not of an actual recurrence, but 6-8 weeks out. And your fucking season can be finished in 6 to 8 weeks. We've seen it. We've seen it in January. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, and somebody, but I know that, but somebody said on one of the shows the other night, and it was a great point. Hold on to Phillips, right, and give it till January, And if the two boys are flying and they're fine and they look like they're back and they're playing and everything's going fine, then move them. Just keep. All I'm asking for is a little bit of insurance. I'm not asking for mega.
I think that's Reece Williams. I think that's Reece.
Maybe so, but look, I still think it all depends on Joe Matip at the back, so we'll have to wait and see. Midfield, you need somebody in because Gino Wijnaldum is gone. Don't give a shit what anyone says because you just do. All right, that sort of dependability and that body you absolutely need. And then I'm happy, but I think if I could move one or Ox or Keita and bring someone else in, I would. And I still have Hossam Aouar in my head. And he won't leave me head until he goes to somebody. But the fact that he's 25 million and no one's gone near him.
That's stinking.
There's
like a bleeding.
There's something not right there. There's
someone putting a fish in your bleeding glove box.
But it could be that. But it could be also a case of Hossam Aouar and his representative saying, "Is are getting it for fuck all here, and we want mega money," and that's what's turning people off. So it could be one of those. Up front, I'm a bit torn on it because the whole idea of a 9 is it intrigues me, but the idea of a winger that is a forward planning and looking years into the future is one that intrigues me as well. So the forward one's a killer. I still have Rafinha in my head. I think he has so much more to give, Rafinha. So we'll have to wait and see. But this, he's not doing 2 forwards for me. He's doing 1, and I'd like them to go as big as they could on a forward. This Daniel Malin is linked. People rate him. I haven't seen a lot of him, but
what about Mbappe? Seriously, I'm not even being funny. Seriously, because I'm being genuine.
I can't see it.
I think Mbappe is one that if they thought they could do it, they do it. No.
I think they can do it. That I genuinely do. I'd imagine if PSG were willing and we could get him to come, we would pay for it. We would pay if it was possible to happen. We'd pay the money. I do believe that.
I think he's the only one we would break the bank for.
Yeah, but the thing is, for me.
But you'd have to look at the players in the squad that are on big contracts, and is written into them contracts about being highest earners at the clubs. And is there in their contract that to be matched? Or you never know what's going on. Crusher,
I think they would be a bit smart with their wage structure for him. I think there'll be all sorts of leading wrangles and
there could be. Crusher AU says, question for the guy speaking, you say a midfield replacement is a must, but why aren't you willing to give Curtis Jones a chance? I think that's directed at me. I'm more than willing to give Curtis Jones a chance. But what I'm saying is if you look through our midfield, the players that we have, the issues we've had around those players, Curtis Jones is, come on, I've said it. Me and Grizz openly thought that he wouldn't make it at Liverpool 2 seasons ago. We've said that, and we've been proven wrong emphatically in my mind. And I'm delighted to be so. With Curtis Jones, he's still a young player. He's still learning. He's I would hope that in the next 12 months to see him really pushing into the full England setup. But when you lose a Gino Wijnaldum, simply because of how much football he gives you, what he gives you while he's playing, and he shone through in what happened last season, I think bringing somebody in, not an absolute replacement, where it has to be a clone of Genie, but somebody that comes in and you can say, you know what, you can rely on this fella, and he's good and he has potential. Neuhaus is the one that comes to mind because of his injury record or lack of injury, so that's why I didn't mention Curtis Jones, but he's absolutely a first team squad member next season. There's no doubt about that.
And Grizz. Romano's a waffler. Fabrizio Romano is a waffler. And I have to know what Bill of us to him, fella. He's at the point himself on a pedestal where I think he's 2 million followers, and people are paying through their nose to get him to come on and have a chat for 20 minutes, half an hour. And the fella, he's a waffler. He's an absolute waffler. How would it be even possible to have that much information? Man, Fabrizio Romano.
I don't follow him on social media.
How would it be possible to have
as soon as he sees a bleeding contract about to be signed, here we go. Do you know what? And people jump on it. They don't jump on the fact that people are saying there, he said Man United Liverpool won't happen. But if Man United Liverpool gets traction, he'll be the first one saying, here we go. And people will forget that he poo-pooed it. And do you know what I mean? Mbappe, sorry.
So
people forget that he poo-pooed.
People say tap in merchant. That's Twitter language. Like, that's like dead field. dead ball.
I don't understand all this. Stop it.
Yeah, it's dead ball ratioed. What's the other one? In the mud. There's so many of them.
We got a few tonight. Dead channel.
Top red. Tap in merchant. Like, it's FIFA language. It's like when you score a goal in FIFA and you can press a button and a thing pops up. You must have that keyboard all hotkeyed to these saying, because it's all people say. Like,
a lot of people in the chat were saying, like, I went against Fabrizio Romano on Twitter. What I said and what he said there's absolutely no chance of Mbappe, and there's been absolutely no interest or no talks. And I gave one of those, the funny emojis, like, okay, we'll see. Because I know for a fact there has been talks. As I've always said, whether we get him, of course it's unlikely and we know. But I know for a fact that we've been in touch and we've been in talks. So that's what I was referring to, not the fact that he's coming. He said there's absolutely no talks, no chance, forget about it. And I said, okay. So that's why people are saying, oh my God, you went against him, Grizz. And of course I did, because I have my reasons. And I charge far less as well. Can we get that out there? Can we
Who's bar mitzvahs?
That's what I want to know. Who's going to make that fucker?
Lads, you lot know the game's the game. So I'm just saying, I charge a quarter of the price.
It's like Father Ted. Is that gobshite on the television again?
Right, let's get out of here. An hour and a half is enough. Grizz, anything else before we go?
No, pal.
Good stuff. Seany, anything else before we go?
No, all good.
No? Good. Keith, anything else before we go?
No, all good.
All right, good stuff. Well, coming up this week on the LFC Daytrippers, you have had the Fatback 4 tonight. You have the Forum tomorrow night. You have a Euros watch on Tuesday night. You have a midweek fix on Wednesday night. You have a Carnage transfer. I don't know what he's calling it anymore. He just keeps making up new names for it. But it's a Carnage transfer agenda something show on Thursday. And Chris will be back on Friday with a run to a European Cup final. I think hopefully it's one we win. That is the week ahead for the LFC Daytrippers. If anything happens transfer wise during that week, we will jump on and try fill in that spot as well. Road to Kiev on Friday, so it's one we lose. Great, Chris. One we lose.
Chris, I'd say you're so
in fairness though, the road to Kiev is a cracker. I know we lose the final and it's not.
Kiev itself was poxy, but
the road to Kiev was fucking unbelievable.
It's just when you got to Kiev, it was a fucking dumpster fire. That was the only problem.
Yeah, that was it. And then poor Loris went off on holidays and
to be fair to Chris,
videos.
Some of my greatest memories of Liverpool are the ones where we didn't win anything. The journey's always better than the destination.
But the run to Kiev was deadly. It was deadly, in fairness. That's about it. Make sure you check out our website, lfcdt.com. Hit the Sienna link on there. Make sure you check out her GoFundMe and also her merchandise range. Of course, all profits from any sale with anything with Sienna on it go straight to her as well. We're looking at one or two more things to help her push her on and get her towards this target to send her to America to get life-changing treatment, and we'll just keep going until we get there. So we're looking at a few things, and hopefully when we bring these to you, you will be able to help us. I do know that one of them will ask people to commit €1. €1. That's all we're going to be asking for. So we're trying to work that out, but when we do, you'll absolutely get to it. Hit the like button on your way out. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Enjoy. There's nothing left. There's nothing left here Sunday night, but wherever you're doing in it, enjoy it. And that's been it. That's been the Fatback 4. Talk to you in a bit. Over.